It's not about changing your emotion, because the version of you who has it all can still feel angry, can still feel sad, can still spiral into that negativity spiral and still be the version of you that has it all and still be that identity. I heard this from, I don't remember who, but it's about like your emotions are like the weather changing, right? Your emotions are literally the weather. But does the weather change the geographical location? No. So say you are pinpointed where you are in space and time right now. The weather that is happening around you is not going to change your location. I mean, I guess theoretically, if you want to go that route, yes, a tornado could move you, or yes, a hurricane can move you, I guess. But for the sake of the concept that we're trying to grasp here, the weather is not going to push you. It's going to be like rain, snow, shine, whatever the weather is where you are. You don't get like devastating tornadoes every single day, 365 days out of the year, basically. So the emotions that you have don't change who you are. You can still manifest when you are angry, sad, depressed, stressed, nervous, anxious, fearful, all of the negative emotions and adjectives, whatever. That will not change who you are. So when we go a state, like a level deeper than that, our goal here is not to shift the emotions, it's to shift the state. So think of it like when you buy a new phone, when you upgrade your phone and it's a newer phone, say you're jumping like a few phones. I'm just going to use iPhones here, or you can pretend it's a Samsung, whatever it is. Basically, whatever phone model that you have and you're upgrading, it's been a couple years, so you're getting a new model. It has new features that you're not used to yet, and it's going to feel kind of wonky and weird. So when you switch all of your information over, you have the new phone now. Sometimes you're going to think that you have the old phone. So when you open up the new phone, you're going to try and press certain things that was on the way the setup was on the old phone. So say you had Instagram like right at the very front homepage, it was like muscle memory. Like, you know how sometimes you catch yourself on your phone like unlocking your phone and it's like muscle memory to open Snapchat or Instagram or whatever, and you have to like swipe out and like get rid of it because you're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? It's like that when you get a new phone, when you upgrade, and you're sometimes wanting to open it and open Instagram the same way that you used to, but it takes a second to click in and you're like, oh yeah, that's right, I don't have that old phone anymore. It's in a different place now. That's exactly how it is with your state. So say you've always seen yourself as someone who is super stressed, super nervous energy, and you are now seeing yourself as someone who is at peace and is confident, right? When you are catching yourself in the old story and a lot of things are happening and it's super chaotic, you have the power to stop and pause in that moment and be like, oh, right, I'm not that way anymore. I am peaceful. I'm confident now. That's who I am now. And that is what shifts everything. I talked about this in a previous couple of videos actually, on how it's not about constantly being in the state of your new identity 24/7. It's not about perfection. It's about the progress here, right? And it is about constantly catching your old identity and seeing how fast you can revert to the new identity. That's what the game is about. It's about catching that old identity and shifting to the new identity faster and faster every time until it becomes a habit. When you feel that old identity creep in, less than you automatically imprinting that new identity 24/7. Or I guess that was kind of jumbled. But basically what I'm saying is the goal here is to feel the identity, the old identity, less and less, to notice it less and less, because it's not as overtaking your brain as it used to, if that makes sense. So when you start to notice little bits and pieces of, oh, I'm feeling stressed right now, I'm getting caught up in that old story, it starts to feel different, and your reticular activating system, which is the bouncer of your brain, whatever you tell it is important, it will filter out in your 3D reality, in the 4D, which is your thoughts realm and everything. Basically, when you feel that old identity, it's going to become so weird feeling eventually that it will flag it. Your mind will flag it when you get caught in that old identity. Like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling stressed right now and overwhelmed and buzzing energy. Your mind will flag that once you practice the new identity more and more and more. It starts to become your new normal. And you will be able to see like, oh, okay, yep, that's right. I'm not like that anymore. I'm calm and confident, or I'm peaceful and confident. That's who I am now. And then you'll feel things shift. And it's like, you still have the emotions of feeling stressed, but you don't identify as stressed anymore. You are not a stressful person. You are experiencing a little bit of stress. So when you are suddenly in the new identity more frequently than the old identity, you will start to notice more often that you still have the same similar emotions, because it's like the weather, right? It still rains, whatever the climate is, wherever you are. You'll notice that you feel a lot of the same emotions, but you're interpreting it differently and experiencing it differently because you have a different program that is running behind the scenes. So it's no longer your old identity who is super, we're again using the stress example as a baseline here, just for the sake of the video, for the concept's sake. When you see yourself as a stressed person and you identify stress with your anxiety, you'll notice that you'll notice that you get triggered with situations, little things more and more. Say, for example, you get triggered with road rage, or for example, you get triggered by seeing something on social media that sets you off and you feel this buzzing spiral of stress energy. It's gonna set your nervous system off way more. You'll notice that you have less control over yourself and your energy when you're caught up in that old identity. When you are in the new identity, assuming that new self-concept of, oh, that's not me anymore, I'm confident and calm, that's right, that's who I am now. When you're starting to notice that you are in that identity more and more frequently, you'll notice that when you enter those situations that the old you previously experienced, like you're in road rage, or not road rage, but you're stuck in traffic, or you see something on social media that would have triggered you, you'll notice yourself taking it with a grain of salt and still experiencing a little bit of stress, but you're able to manage it in a different way, because sometimes the stress won't even last, and that's how it's supposed to. You're not meant to cling on to that emotion of stress, for example, in this case, and give it all of your attention and energy. I mean, yes, you're supposed to validate it and let it pass through you. I kind of like to think of it, I heard this analogy one time from one of my mentors that I loved. It was, your emotions, imagine your body and your energy field is like a house. There is a front door and a back door. Okay, and I realize that might sound kind of funny, but the emotions that are coming in, when you hear them knocking at the door, what you're supposed to do is open the door, acknowledge them, and then just let them pass through the back door, right? But a lot of us, and so many of us, are caught or in this trap to entertain these negative thoughts because that is what we're frequently surrounded by. And that's no fault of ours. It's just the programming that we were raised with or that we defaulted with growing up. So it became the most common and comfortable for us to experience, because your mind, again, can become addicted to even negative experiences if it's frequently and consistently experienced. So we're shifting that now. But basically, there are so many things you can do when that emotion's at the door. You can, and this is the avoidant energy, keep the door completely shut, right? And let the emotion stay outside the door, and you feel it there. You feel it, but you just keep ignoring that it's there. You keep pushing it down. It's not there, whatever. That suppresses emotion, and that emotion will rise at some point, because emotion does store in the body. And whether you like it or not, when you have those emotions at the door that you just pretend aren't there, they're still there. They're still present. They don't go away until you let them pass through you, because emotions are energy. It doesn't just disappear. Emotions need to feel that validation, feel that be expressed inside the body a little bit. Like when you're stressed, open the door, let it pass through you, be the observer of it, and then allow the new emotion to come in, happiness, whatever. There's other things you can do, like when you open the door and you let the stress person in, or the stress energy in and person form. If you picture stress looking like a person and you're inside the house and you are engaging with them constantly and you're talking with them constantly and you won't let them leave, that is also like clinging on to the energy and making it stay longer than it needs to, which can traumatize your body, right? So in an ideal world, and when you practice the new identity more and more frequently, you'll start to notice yourself like being more observant of the emotions. You don't identify with them anymore. You recognize them as experiences. You let them pass through you healthily. You're validating them yourself. And it's just a much more healthy and well-rounded experience. And that new identity state energy, sorry, I know we got a little sidetracked there with the whole emotions and everything, but I hope that was helpful for you. And again, it's about recognizing the new identity more and more frequently and faster in regards to experiencing the old identity. It kind of starts becoming a fun game when you start to realize yourself spiraling or getting sad or thinking that things are not working out in your favor, and you're like, oh, actually things do work out in my favor and it all works out for me, and my only job is to experience peace in this moment, because that is who my new identity is. She is peaceful. And it's just like, when you're experiencing things from that state, you can still feel those negative emotions again, because it's not going to change your geographical location, your new identity. It's so important to realize that emotions do not take away from the new identity at all. I used to be one of those people who used to get so terrified of experiencing negative emotions. Sorry, it's getting really dark in here, but it is what it is. I'm going to actually try to turn my light on real quick. Okay, here we are. Much better. It started getting so dark in here and I was like, ooh, that's probably not good. But yeah, it's so important to remember that your emotions are just visitors. They're not going to stay unless you force them to stay. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing, because I was one of those people who used to think that emotions really dictated my reality. I thought that manifestation was all about experiencing positive emotions 24/7 and staying in that good energy, because like attracts like. That is true to an extent, but your assumed identity is ultimately what attracts those outcomes, what attracts that energy, what rearranges things to work in your favor, because it is running from a baseline program that is downloaded. Your emotions are not downloaded information unless you make them to be. So when you're assuming the new identity, think of things like, the version of me that has everything right now, how would she be interpreting this experience? If I could quantum leap and jump timelines right now in this moment, how would the rest of the day look for me? And think from situations like that. And like another really good one that I love to use is, if I knew the outcome was inevitable, how would I be thinking right now? What would I be feeling? Would I be stressed? Would I be anxious? Or would I be letting go, going with the flow, enjoying the ride, focusing on having as much fun and experiencing as much good as I can, right? Because it's all about like not taking life so seriously, right? Because ultimately it is all a game. And I actually watched a video by, I don't know if you know, I think her username is like M on the brain or something like that, but I watched a video by her today, which was super inspiring, and I really want to share because it kind of shifted the way I look at things a little bit. But she talked about how actually looking at things like life is a game, instead of looking at life as a really serious thing, and, you know, really making things so serious, like it actually makes you dumber when you think life is so serious and you're thinking from that state of mind. Because I'm trying to think on how I want to word this. When you put stakes on something and you make it mean more than it actually is, it puts your body in survival mode, because it puts you in the position where you have to perform a certain way to get a certain outcome. And like a little bit of healthy performance is good and everything, but when you put a lot of pressure on yourself and you're thinking really seriously about something and you're like, it's this or nothing, or like very black and white thinking, and not like that gray area where like you're like, oh, whatever, like life is all a game. In the grand scheme of things, this doesn't really matter. And I understand like certain situations they are serious, but for the sake of like the neuroscience on this, she was talking about how when you think life is so serious, it shuts down parts of your brain that are linked to creativity, to critical, I think it was critical thinking or something like that. Basically, that playful energy, it's like linked to confidence and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure. I'm like totally butchering this, but basically it was super freaking awesome. And made sense, because when you're constantly in that survival mode, like, oh my gosh, everything's so serious, I gotta get this done, I gotta get this done, you don't give yourself room to just let your creativity flow, to let yourself have fun. And when you treat life as like a game and you're just here to have fun and everything is a win when the goal is to experience, your mind ironically suddenly works for you way more. Your creativity is unlocked, your thinking, your analytical thinking is unlocked. You're suddenly looking at things, you're putting less pressure and stress on yourself so that you have a better outcome, because you can think better and clearer when you're less stressed. Whereas when you put that pressure on yourself, it makes you more stressed, and it puts you in a survival mode, a fight or flight mode, and you don't think critically. When you're in that state, your brain is focused on survival, and when you're focused on survival, you're not focused on thriving, you're surviving. But when you look at things as like life is a game, you are like in that mode of thriving, in that play, not taking life so seriously. Your brain starts working for you and in your favor. Okay, so I realized we got a little sidetracked here again. The whole point of this video, again, is just to remember that it's not about the emotions, it's about the state that you are assuming. When you lock in that assumed identity, you'll start to notice that you handle emotions differently. You'll see different opportunities, because it is the program that is running behind the scenes that has changed, not the external. You're not changing the external reality. And the weather, again, is a great analogy for this. You're not changing the weather, you're changing locations. And that in turn changes the weather in a way, and how you experience that, because you're having a different perspective on it. So when you can think things like, if I were to jump timelines today, how would the rest of today look for me? When you think from that, or like, if I knew I couldn't lose, what next step would I choose? When you think from questions like that, or when you think from states like that of what the answer would be for those questions, that is what shifts everything, because you were acting from that new geographical location, and then everything will change for you.